In this session, we're going to be looking at how to configure BimlFlex for Microsoft Fabric. I have just started with sample 01, which is the SQL Server SSIS starting point. You can get it from here, from our samples. It's just the first one, and I've just picked that, and I've loaded the sample, and this is where I am right now. So I'm going to work through and just show you, if you're starting from scratch, the easiest way just to get your project configured for Microsoft Fabric. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump over to, and I'm only going to focus on the source to staging layer here, or the source to bronze layer. The first thing you want to do is go over to your projects, and as you can see here, we've got all of these projects configured for integration services. If you drop this down to Data Factory, it will now reconfigure it for Data Factory, and you'll need a landing connection, and we'll get to that in a little bit later on. That's where, if you extract your data, where is it going to land it in, one lake or in a data lake or something. So I'm just going to save this for now, and I'll get an error here. Don't worry about that for now. Once you have your project configured for Fabric, you'll see the little Fabric icon here. And then what you need to do is effectively, as you can see, all your connections now, this is just all SQL Server connections, but I'm just pointing out what needs to change. You'll need an external connection reference here. And this is within Fabric, every connection has a internal ID. And this is the ID we need to put in here, okay? And that's effectively it. So, I'm just gonna put 00 in here, and that's how you would configure your project for Fabric. Now, I already have one that's pre-configured. And this is part of the samples, and there's two here. It's Fabric with Data Vault. So if you're building a Data Vault solution for your silver layer, your integration layer, you can look at this one. I'm just going to look at the normal sort of bronze layer, which is this Fabric Data Mart solution here, and it's already configured. So let me take you through the settings and configurations here. So as you can see here, I'm using Fabric Warehouse and Lakehouse. So I've got different solutions here. And this is a very simple one where we are taking data from an AdventureWorks database here. We've imported some metadata. It's pretty easy to do that. You just click here, preview, and you can import as many tables as you want. So if you've got 1,000 tables, import 1,000 tables, and then I'll bring that metadata into BimlFlex. I've also set up a landing connection here. As you can see, it's just a landing area, and it's in Fabric. And I'm going to land the data. Again, this is the warehouse side of it. So I'm going to land the data directly into the Fabric warehouse. I've set up a connection string, external reference. I've got my staging layer and my persistent staging layer. Or if you're using the medallion structure, you can think about that as your bronze layer. And within that, for every source, you can either say, do you want to persist history, or do you just want to keep a copy of the source system? Now, if you want to have all of the data coming into your bronze layer and persisting the state or the history as it goes, you just switch on this little flag over here, and now you have delta detection and history sitting in there. And then I'm just going to go land the data, put it into a data mart. Just to give you from a project point of view, I'm going to take the data out of my source system, and this could be files, this could be Parquet files, this could be pretty much any supported source. And I'm going to go land the data in my warehouse. I'm going to go and stage the data and persist it in my bronze layer here. And then I'm just going to leave it in the bronze layer. From there, I can then move it on to my silver layer. Again, you can have something like this where you can move it onto your silver layer. Or what I'm doing here is I'm going to move it into my gold layer. So you can move into your gold layer from, so here I'm just grabbing data from my staging database or my, Interpreter database, but you can also do it. So I'll jump over here and just show you the same for the Fabric, for the Data Vault. This is just configured differently. The projects are just different. So I'll look at a source here. As you can see here, I've got a whole bunch of different ones here with Parquet and files. I've even got a source coming from Fabric as a source, going from a Fabric Lakehouse going into a Fabric Lakehouse. So this would be a project here where you can see, I'll just show you the same one for the AdventureWorks, or sorry, this one here. So this is the AdventureWorks side of things, where you can take your data out of a source system. You can go land it in a data lake, or you can, again, you obviously will, if you're using Lakehouse, you'll land it in a data lake. We also have the option here to persist the raw data in a persistent data lake, if that makes sense. And then you can bring the data into your Lakehouse. So again, we've got a Lakehouse for staging. We've got your bronze layer here would be your persistent staging layer, which is the Lakehouse. And then we're going to move this data into our data vault. So if you're doing data vault structure, you can do it this way. If you're doing your normal dimensional layer, you can also do that. Once you've built all of this out, now the good thing about BimlFlex is that you're just focusing on your data model here, right? So if you're doing data vault, you'll obviously have all of the access to a data vault accelerator where you can go and preview and do all of your data vault modeling inside of BimlFlex. You know, model to your heart's content. You can do your data modeling. You can have your data lineage for any specific object. You'll have your data lineage here. If I'll just pick one, I'll have my data lineage showing me how my data is going to move. And also within your BimlFlex information structure, you have the ability here to go into any one of these tables here and apply transformation. So I can go into a column and I can go apply transformation right in here. Now, also obviously with BimlFlex 2026, you also have the ability to try not only add expressions, but also add macros. So you can have standard transformations that you put into your macro layer here. I'll discard that into my macro layer here where I go null to false. So this is a Boolean, but if I've got a string, you can go and say, okay, well, I want to trim my string, and this is the structure you do. Now, the good thing about this is we've been recently working with a customer where they are encrypting their PPI data, and the great thing is they can just put that transformation to encrypt their information into a macro, and then reuse that macro wherever they want to do. Okay. Now, once you've done all the modeling, now the good thing about this is you don't need to know anything about how the Microsoft Fabric platform works, because you don't need to go and write notebooks. You don't need to go and write stored procedures. All of that code is handled for you. So once you've put this into your DevOps pipeline or your build automation pipeline, it will build out all the artifacts. So let's have a look in Microsoft Fabric what this would look like. So this is my Fabric environment here. I'll just go to this workspace. As you can see, I'm into my workspace here, and everything is generated. So all of this is generated from BimlFlex. So there's my warehouse, all of those files, and I'll just go into this one here. You'll see that all of the structure is sitting in my data warehouse here. So all of my warehouse files have been loaded. My Lakehouse has been created. All the notebooks has been created. So all of the notebooks to load my data, I'll just open one of these notebooks. So if you're using Lakehouse, here's all of your notebooks that would be created. So all of the code to load your data is created for you. So you didn't have to write a single line of code. So as you can imagine, you now only have to have your team has to know what they want to build, not necessarily how to build, right? So you're focusing on creating your data models. And then the last thing here that is built it for you out of the box, we will have all of your pipelines created for you. So if I'm going into this one, actually, I'll probably pop over to this one. It doesn't matter which one I go to. Every single pipeline will be created for you. So here we've got all the pipelines to extract the data. All of the orchestration this is executing a stored procedure there for us. We can go back and forth and look at many more of these pipelines here that's been built for us, right? So you're going to have another pipeline here, just copying data from the Lakehouse. As you can see, it does quite a lot of things here. This is doing high watermark lookups. It's doing the copy activity. All of this is hooked up with the right connection settings. It's calling a notebook here to process the staging layer, and it will handle any sort of file handling if it should remove files from the landing environment and everything. So as you can see with BimlFlex, it's very easy because to deploy to a Microsoft Fabric environment, because again, your team will only need to understand their database schemas, and we're able to look at the design of what they want to do and do the source to target mappings, and possibly even go in here and do some transformations, right? So if that's all they need to do, then all of the code is built for them. So you do not need a technical team that knows exactly how to build the data pipelines, how to build the notebooks, and how to build the SQL. And the good thing about BimlFlex is if you've worked with the Microsoft Fabric plugin, you know it's improving and it's changing quite regularly. The good thing about using BimlFlex is we will change, adapt, and transform those templates for you, so you are always optimal, has always got the optimal solution for Microsoft Fabric. Thank you for your time, and I hope it was useful.